Need to share it. Everyone, welcome back. Sorry about that disconnection if you were here before. We are discussing the parallels, and also we'll move into the um, what it was to come from Ethiopia to America. But we'd already started, and then we had a technical difficulties. But some of the things that I was learning about were that kids are separated from their parents as early as 12 years old, and they're put in military camps. Um, they they don't pretend, they openly say that it's about social engineering, and that social engineering will not be an easy process. It will cause a lot of chaos. A lot of people might disagree. And the place that I wanted to go next with my friend Solomon, who I'm speaking to today, is what was the struggle like when all of the sudden your foundational values as so are you personally Judeo-Christian?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So what was the struggle like? Were you born into this, or um did they change it while you were growing up? Like the putting you guys, did you have to go to one of these camps?
Yes, you have, but I born with this because my like from your family. So the next thing when you are adult, you can learn a lot of them. You can read books. So especially when it come to America, because I like America because I went to school here, college. So
Okay.
now I start to writing English, start to speak English. It's my first time to speak English here in America. It was hard for me because it's new culture, new language. It's a lot of challenge when you start new life. So
So you
even
got
the
here because of
word,
college? Sorry.
yes.
Go ahead.
So even the word Judeo-Christian, I just know now because I didn't know I practiced Judeo-Christian. Because when you go to school here, or they tell you you have to write about culture, you have to write about religion, about everything. So I didn't know we have a lot of similarities with the West, I can say. But when I do some research now, it's not only similarities. We have the same people. It's just only the color. Even in 6th century, I was reading a book and I watched a documentary film. It was 6th century. We had a king. His name is Caleb, and he had to fight with Persians, now Iran. So the Romans was our ally with the king Caleb. So the Romans, like now Europe, you can say, 1,000 years ago, 6th century. So they had to fight with Persia. Why? Because we have the same values, the same culture with the Romans. And even
Right.
16th centuries, during the Ottoman Empire, they controlled the Mediterranean Sea, the Red Sea, Indian Ocean, everything. It was blocked. We cannot communicate with the world. So we have to hide in the mountains for 300 years because the Ottoman Turk, they control the Red Sea. You cannot have any trade with China, India, even with Europe. So what we do is we have to return back to like the history. We have to farm the land in the mountains. We have to hide these mountains. So this is how we keep our culture, our religion, our tradition. Is a big struggle, has been for 800 years, maybe sometimes 1400 years. So now I'm trying to understand what's going on and how America can be an enemy, or how American empire, you can say, okay, it's empire, okay, you can say empire. So when it's empire, what did Ottoman Empire did to our people? They blocked the Red Sea, everything. America did block the Red Sea, never blocked Red Sea, never did these aggressions in
So
our
you were taught, were you taught to hate America when you were growing up?
of course, from the regime,
You
but
were, yes.
yes, still,
Okay.
the regime is still in
Still teaching
Eritrea.
that.
We have only one state TV, one radio station. There is no independent media, no radio, no TV, and nothing. And the internet is not working at all. It's I think it's 1%. Only some of the elites in the regime, maybe 100 or 200 people, they can use internet, but no internet. They close everything. No
So
Facebook,
they
no
keep,
YouTube.
what I'm trying to do is draw the parallels between America, because again, America does it softer, right? So we don't take kids away from their families, but within the school, we tell our students, who is your safe person outside of your mom and dad? Who else is your safe person? So we're doing the same thing. We're setting a little more, well, not a little, a lot more gently, because we're not pushing them out and sending them off to camps and physically separating them. But mentally, we are separating our young people. We're separating the generations. There's lots of like jokes in our media about how parents are just out of touch, right? And it's the same kind of thing, I think, but a much softer version. Um, and when you said social engineering, for me, that was a huge red flag, because we have what's called social and emotional learning. Have you heard of this?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So, and our social and emotional learning teaches our kids that the West is bad, that our values are bad. And if we're learning that as Americans, and you're learning that over in Ethiopia growing up, like, can you give me an example of what you were told about America when you were in school?
One thing we cannot deny, everyone can agree, is like anyone coming from Eritrea, they can agree America is an enemy for Eritrea. How it can be an enemy, you cannot just, you cannot say it, or they don't explain to you at all. If they
They
explain to
they
you,
just say they just say it's an enemy, don't ask questions.
kind of, yeah, because when you say an enemy in what? The religion, Christianity,
Right.
we are the same.
Capitalism, right? Capitalism is generally, and our kids are being taught the same thing, that capitalism is a threat to the rest of the world. But in Eritrea, you said that maybe 200 people have the internet. And that tends to be what happens in communism, that there's a small group that lives like kings, and the rest of the people live well below poverty. Is that, am I correct about that? Or is there a middle class in Ethiopia?
No, you are correct. That's right. So I like the example you gave, even I think it was a live video yesterday or before, anytime I watched your video. And
Oh,
you were
thank you.
saying something example about Cambodia,
Mhm.
how they put kids or the children in a camp.
Mhm.
That was really interesting example for me. So what
Yeah.
the Isayas regime doing now is almost the same thing, maybe
Right.
different, a little bit different because his personality, when he's coming from the Christian background, of course we know that, but I don't know why they hate the Christianity. I don't know why they hate the civilization, but he aligned himself with his personal character, maybe I can say, with
Okay.
Mao. He want to stay in power, so that cannot be with this tradition. With we have a tradition even in Ethiopia and Eritrea, long time ago, when you have a leader, the people has to vote, but the vote is not like we do in America. The vote is different. Like 200 years ago, they use like stones. They count stones. How many stones has the highest stone? That's gonna be leader. How many leaves? They count leaves. But now we have system. We can use electronically or something else. But that kind of system, it cannot create a dictator, or it cannot create a regime who trying to control everything about you. Everything, they dictate everything about you. So
Do
it
they
cannot
call
be
it a
like that.
democracy? Do they call it a democracy over there?
Yes, the party, yes, it has democracy. It's a people's for justice and democracy. People's
Right.
Front, that's the regime name or the party. People's Front for Justice and Democracy. But there is no
But it's
justice,
not.
there is no democracy at all. They doing this in the name of justice, in the name of democracy. But what they doing in action, what they doing, what the, if you see their background, everything about Isaias, he killing a lot of people. When they put you in jail, they don't put you even in a house. They put you in a container, has metal. So during the day, you have to. It's hot weather, so it may be 100 degree, degree Fahrenheit sometimes. So it's very
Okay.
hot. So after 5 years, 10 years, you cannot be a normal person in that kind of, and you don't have enough food. They put you in
Right.
this cage for 5 years, 10 years, sometimes for a long time, and they don't have court. They don't have justice system. How can you call it a
So
democracy
basically, if
system?
somebody accuses you of something, you could just go with
You just
no
go
proof.
and no one asks about you. Even the parents, they come, they don't allow them to ask any question. They don't allow even to take the body. You don't know
Wow.
if this person die, is this person alive. The people or the close family, they don't know about him, about the
So
person.
I want to draw that parallel again to something that I realized in in 2020 after George Floyd. People were saying, don't ask questions. If you ask questions, that's racist. If you ask questions, that's showing that you're biased. And again, it's different here, right? Because we're not going to jail necessarily for asking questions, but we're all being told not to ask any questions.
That's crazy. When this happens, sometimes if I have a feeling like in America, you can ask any question and somebody explain to you, because we believe in in explaining, or we believe in facts, evidence, anything like logical thinking. So, but if you say don't ask any question, case closed. That's
So
difficult
has
to
that been your
accomplish.
experience in America, that it's very open and that you can ask whatever you want to? That's that's different than my experience as an American, especially as an American conservative, that we were told, I mean, we were shut down. Like social media would just say, you're in Facebook jail. You can't ask questions, you can't make a comment for, 30 days or whatever, a week or whatever they would say. But you coming here from Ethiopia, you found that you could ask questions and you could apply reason.
That was my thought. But sometimes when I was in college, um, the professor was saying, I think her sister, I think she was young in high school, and she said, "No, I'm not a girl. I'm a boy from now. Don't call me a girl." And she was saying kind of this question. So I asked her why she say a girl, why she doesn't say a girl, why she change her gender, and she say no, she trying to kill herself, so we cannot call her a girl anymore. If you love her, you have to call a boy. You have to. What about her name? Her name, she changed her name too. So that's difficult to ask her a simple question: why you change your gender? That's a simple
Mm-hmm.
question, and she can explain. And the way professor explained to us was, in Um, yes, some of her friends said, "You don't look like a girl." That was the answer she gave us. So, okay, even your friends, you are a boy, but your friends sometimes they say, "Oh, you sound like a girl." So, what does it mean? Maybe in that day you sound a girl, but even you sound a girl, yeah, your gender is already given at the birth. You cannot change it. The way you have to solve your problem is to ask questions and why they say this, explain to it, and you have to go with the natural way. We know for humankind for 1,000 years, this a new culture coming to America. America is sometimes scary though, but yeah,
Yes.
I have some kind of examples like that, but was
So,
not, yeah.
so if it is scary, do you feel the pressure that you have to agree with something that you don't agree with? Or do you feel like, no, I've come from another country where I didn't have freedom to say what I think, so now I'm going to say what I think? Which one kind of wins out in your own head? Are you like, I ne- I'm an American now, I need to do what all the Americans are doing, even if in my head I know it's foolish or untrue, but I need to adopt these new ways? Or do you say, I'm
Yeah,
not going to do that?
that's crazy. Yeah, it's foolish, or you can say it's crazy sometimes. But yes, I work in a hospital. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so when such kind of patient coming to you, yes, you have to treat them like any human being. You have to treat them what they explain to you, and you cannot change that. But you still have a feeling this is not right. But you have to go with the system.
Hmm.
Like I think 7 years ago, there was not some. We call it in service. Every year you have to take some exams and kind of training in your profession. So you have this new culture, LGBTQ. Um, now I can agree with anyone. You can say I'm a woman, but don't force to someone else to believe you are somebody else. Like what I'm saying is now I am here. I say a man or myself explain as a man or um, but if I say I change my gender, if someone see me, see my mustache, everything, they call him a man, I should not be angry. I should not be disappointed with them. That's what I'm trying to tell them.
Right.
So
Okay.
sometimes, oh, don't say that. Like, don't. Okay, you look like a man. You have to say a man, and
Yeah.
that's not trying to harm you or to threaten you, but it's just explaining what they see or the physical feature look like this. So it's a
Right.
common sense. Don't tell them to change the name. Um, in paper, you can change it, but don't tell them to do this, do this, do this. That's crazy and it should not be disappoint you. That's what
I
I'm.
well, I agree that I mean, it's a mental health disorder, and to pretend that it's not, I think, does a great disharm, a great uh it harms especially young people, but I also think it harms truth. And the more that we give in to things that harm truth, the less freedom we will have. I think that I think that the West is turning into every kind of third world country. We're adopting the same ideas that were forced on you guys. You didn't have, quite frankly, you didn't have the Second Amendment, right? You don't have the Second Amendment in Ethiopia. You don't
No,
have, you have guns? Are you allowed to have guns?
no, you don't.
Okay, right? So you're not allowed to have guns, which means that you're not a threat, and they can come in and they can say, you have to adopt these ideas now. We own you, and if you don't agree, you might find yourself in prison. So, but now we're doing it. Now we're being taught to do it, but just again in kind of a softer way. Nobody, what they want to do is make our younger generations believe the same ideas, because that's globalism, right? So globalism, we all believe the same thing around the entire world. So, but they're not going to do it in the same way they did to you. One, I think because they're racist, because it really does seem to me that the majority of the people that they crush, because a lot of Africa is owned by China, and Chinese people don't really like brown skinned people. Sorry, but that's just a fact, and I think it's important that we talk in facts, right? Um so it just seems to me that the worst kind of policies are happening in Africa. Does that seem true to you?
Yes, yes, it's true. And again, I just have an example about it. So yesterday I was watching from Palestine, from Gaza. So the guy, he was waving his hand. Thanks for America. Thanks for Trump. Thank you. Hamas will kill us. He cannot give this food to us. He was thanked for America. So we don't hear that kind of word from Middle East, from Africa. So I tweet from my account. I was saying like, why the Western media doesn't explain or doesn't um, give you this information when the Africans, I'm from Horn of Africa, like I know my people, they love America because what? Because America gives them, before I born, America was send a lot of charity supplies about food when hunger happened, all this stuff. It cannot come from China. You cannot gain from China. Why? Because China is a communist government. He doesn't care about humanity. They don't have even values like we do here. If they have, we will see some example, but we haven't seen anything yet. But in America, we have seen a lot. And we can complain America is imperialism, but the imperial system, it doesn't control everything like China doing now, even coming to Africa. In Eritrea, we had a mining system. The company were from Canada. So all these human rights activists, they say, oh, this company doing with, they kill a lot of animals. Even the people live around there. When you're doing mining, you have to um, you have to use chemicals. They call it lead, mercury. All these toxin chemicals kill human being and animal. So what the human rights activists, even in America and in the West, what they're doing is they have to stop this kind of killing. But yes, the company left Eritrea because they believe in human dignity. But now China, what they do in China now? They kill everyone, even human, even animal, even anything around there. But no one talks to them. Even they use mining in the most populated area around the capital city. But no one talk about it. If this was America, it was in the West, like all media was talking like America killing these people. They're doing this stuff, they're doing this bad. But they don't explain what America doing good for the West, not only for the West, for Africa and the Middle East, because I know for sure from my people, from the ground. So he said like this is bad, American system is American values is bad, but when you see the ground in Africa or in Middle East, what America doing, you cannot even see in the media. That's a bad thing. But people coming from Middle East and even from Africa, because we all have almost kind of similar kind of autocratic regimes in Middle East and Africa, but they don't thank for America on the system, even the regime or the media outlet, but the people on the ground, if you ask them anyone, they will explain to you America is a good. We love America. That's why we come into America. How can you go to your enemy and think you build your life, build your family there? You cannot. If his enemy is enemy, you're gonna kill him. You cannot go there. But we come to America, we live here, we build life, we go to college, you have all this opportunity. That's because what? Because this American value. We call it now Judeo-Christian value. Why we trying to destroy all this opportunity now in America and create another new system? We don't know what kind of system they build, but they say we're gonna change. But the change they have to show us first. If it is better than what we have now, we'll see. But we see it from the scratch, from the beginning. It's distraction. It's distraction and destroying the values, and it's not human.
So how about this? Because I'm very torn on the immigration conversation because I want people who love this country to come here. One, because our kids are being taught not to love this country and we need patriots. But there are people who come here only to take. That's true. Um, there are people who are even in our Congress right now who say that their devotion goes to the country they came from, not to America. How do we figure that out? Where do we find, what laws would you put in place? How can we determine who shares our values and doesn't just want to benefit themselves and take, there's a lot of people who come here to work and then they send all their money home and they have no allegiance to this country.
That's horrible.
But have you seen it? Have you seen those people?
Yes, I do. It's my daily
Okay.
life. I know that.
Okay.
So the question is now I think we have to see the people who's coming from, and do they share the same culture, the same tradition, or are those people coming to destroy us? That's the most important. Like
Right.
anyone can go to China? No. Anyone can go to somewhere like communist government? No, we don't see that. We don't experience this kind of system. But in America, it can come from any place. Even last time I was watching a video, they burn American flag because they say this is imperial system. We have to destroy this system. You think those people are from outside? They are not outside. They are from America here, from
Yes.
universities. They say
Yes.
we are anti-Israel, anti something, but they are not. They are anti-America first because they live in American life. They are here in America the whole life. They don't know what's the system outside of America in Middle
What
East.
would
They don't
happen if you were
experience.
in Ethiopia and you started walking down, burning a flag of Ethiopia and saying, "We hate Ethiopia. We hate our government," making effigies of your president dying? What would happen there?
That's horrible. I don't know. They will kill them. like even the police or people call someone to kill them. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe they do that. That's the first thing they do.
Right.
But yeah, but in America, yes, you can say that. That's a kind of, we call it freedom of speech. But
Well, they're putting it
still,
in our curriculum. So even in elementary school, they're making history books that say things like the current president is the worst president America has ever had. But that's not history. That is a strong opinion presented to our kids to set in their mind that somebody who puts America first is the worst president in history. And there's a lot of kids who are reading that. I had a situation the other day where I was talking to my nephew, and he was just like, "Oh, you know, I have a teacher who you would really love. She's really about helping us to really think." And she was talking about banning books, but she was only giving one perspective, right? She was only saying these book banners are terrible human beings, but she wasn't saying what the books were that parents think are inappropriate for kids. And so I said, okay, I can see that. But if you go into my office, you'll see a whole bunch. I have a whole shelf of banned books, right? Like 1984, Fahrenheit 451, etc. And I said, but they're not banned because they're on my shelf. If books were really banned, they would be burnt. And I said, and so let's decide both sides of that situation. So if you talk about fascism in America and you're saying that to kids, but yet people can walk down the street burning flags and having like effigies of Donald Trump hanging, if you can do that, try doing that in another country. It would not happen.
no, it will not happen. It's crazy. Um, One of our leader, he live in London, UK. So he was telling us, people, do you know who people who hate America? They are not from outside. They are the most people just hate America is in America. So
Right.
America, people who come to America, like we can, I don't have the data, but I would say most of them they love America. I can say, but we have bad apples still. But if I hear or watch videos, who they say, oh, we hate America, we hate the system, we hate the government, we don't even like the history, even the constitution. What? So what do you? Why are you staying here? So if you hate,
Oh,
just
right.
don't live. You don't like.
I I
Okay,
I
yeah.
think a lot of those people stay here because they make a lot of money on saying how much they hate it. So it's funny because a lot of these people are very capitalistic, but they say that they hate America, and people pay them to say that. People who want us to be a globalized government, they want the West destroyed. But so here's the question, and I am not trying to be offensive, but if I looked at you, my first thought would be, oh, are you Islamic? Now, doesn't Islam as a whole believe in death to the West? Yes, no, am I wrong about that? Um, that was a question I wanted to know because you said that in Ethiopia it's like 50-50. And how do people who think that Christians are less than people survive with people or survive with the Christians without war, without destroying them? And do you think that a lot of Muslims, when they come here, they love America too?
Yeah, the short answer is I would say most Muslims they don't hate America. I would say that
Okay.
because I know from my experience. But
Okay.
if you want to explain what Islam and what the radicals doing, we can say that yes, they don't like America. They
Or the
come to
West,
America.
Western civilization at all, right? Because the UK is,
Yes, I think there was a book. It was saying, I think, um, a clash of civilization. I forgot the author, but a clash of
Okay.
civilization. It
Crash of
just
civilization.
explain how the Western civilization and the Islamic civilization or Islamic tradition cannot align themselves. It has a lot of conflict, so they cannot live together. One has to govern the other. So that's why we're doing in reality. In Ethiopia, we have to see the background because Ethiopia is a majority, overwhelming majority Christian, but now on the south, they are coming, the Muslim coming from Somalia, from Kenya. Yes, they dominate the south, but like 50 years ago, 100 years ago, Ethiopia is a Christian nation. So, yes, they have a Christian civilization, or we can call it in the north. I'm from the north. That's why we have the same tradition with Eritrea. So, from the north, we had practiced Judaism for 1,000 years ago. After then, we have Christianity now. It's a kind of mix. We call it Judeo-Christian. It makes
Right.
sense because we have tradition from the Judaism, like the kosher system, like the way we eat everything, and the marriage, everything. We have the same with Judaism, but Christianity now we have Christian flavor too. So the North still dominated by Christianity, but the South they are more um, assimilate with kind of, even they have Muslim Brotherhood from the South. So
Right. And the
they,
Muslim Brotherhood is they're extreme. Like I've met people who are moderates and want Islamic reform, and they're lovely people. I mean, absolutely lovely people, but they're like these two things cannot be compatible without us having our own reform. But the Muslim Brotherhood, I've listened to them only they were in Seattle once when I was in Seattle, and they were talking about how they would not rest until the streets were filled with the blood of white men. I mean, those are some pretty extreme ideas.
hmm,
Um, and so I don't know. And one of the things that a lot of people in America, a lot of especially people growing up in the ghettos who are African American, um, they're leaning into the Muslim Brotherhood. It's becoming larger and larger. I don't know if you've seen like the marches through New York. A
yeah,
lot of people. Yeah.
yeah, that's right, that's right. Because they don't know, they don't know, I don't know the history. Even last, I forgot the newspaper, but last week I read a paper. Even now, we have slavery practicing in Arab nations.
Yes.
So the world doesn't know because the Western media outlets doesn't talk about it, but we still have it. They sell
Yes.
and buy Africans. So why they don't talk
And
about
they
it?
don't treat them any differently, right? They don't treat them any differently than, because a lot of people will say, well, but slavery in other countries isn't as bad as it was in America. And that blows my mind, one, because we had it for the shortest time. We ended it. And one thing people don't want to have a discussion on is the fact that there were Black slave owners. And people think that just because they think that you can't be racist if you're not white. But I don't find that to be true at all.
No, not at all. Because I think slavery happened for 1,000 years. Even we know the Eastern Europe been enslaved by the Roman empires. Even we know the Jewish, all the history. It happened everywhere. But why they make it this very toxic in America is because I don't know, the maybe the left doing something to create the black people has to fight with the white, but that's not true. That's not true at all, because even we see now the way we practice. Even in America, we don't hate black at all. But in the Arab nation, Middle East, they have a word, they call it abd. Abd means slave. Anyone they see black, they call it abd. This abd is coming. What does it mean? It's slave. Slave is coming. They don't change the
Wow.
word. In 21st century, they don't change it. Still they practice, still they call it abd. It's a slave. But in America, if I see a black man or anyone, a white doesn't call all this slave is coming. No, he doesn't say it at all. Maybe he say black because his color is black, brown because his color is brown. But we don't have that kind of tradition at all. We know that was bad. We change it. Now the black man can doing anything the white man doing now. He can be a leader. He can be a doctor. He can be educator. Any profession. We don't have that kind of discrimination. But they just went to twist the mind. That's not even good for the black man. It's not good at all because we know we changed this history. Now we have to build your life. We call it equality, everything. So why we say this? That's not right. Even Chinese, when they come to Africa, they don't have the same attitude like a brown color or white color. For the Africans, they call them, I forgot the name, but they have another name in Chinese. They don't like black people. But to hate America, living in America without knowing what's going on outside the world is not a good thing.
I think it's
Unless
important
if
that
you have a
people,
knowledge to explain, okay, the world is doing this, but America is not good because in America we have this kind of bad thing. But we don't have that
right?
kind of stuff. America is better than any nation in the world in terms of it's not about economy, in terms of tradition, in terms of culture. American culture is better than any from Middle East or in China or in Africa.
Can
That's
you
why we live in
explain that?
America.
Because I know a lot of white people who will say they don't have culture because they've been taught that they don't. They've been taught that whiteness is not a culture. There are events at schools where they'll say it's cultural day, cultural celebration, but if you're white, you're not supposed to celebrate. And that doesn't make sense to me because I'm part Irish and part Haitian and part German, and all of those have a culture. And ultimately my culture, my own values are like American Pie and Nickelodeon, and that's how I grew up. That's my culture. And I don't think anyone should be ashamed of their culture. But what do you see as an immigrant? What do you see? Do you call yourself an immigrant or refugee?
Um, I came
Or
here with, they call it DV Latori.
oh,
Because,
okay,
I was in college in Ethiopia,
okay,
uh, my early 20s. So
okay,
because the lottery, yes, I come here because even I had planned to go Europe or America for my school. So
okay.
that was a good thing for me. I was not
And you were able
refused.
to stay the whole, you were able, did you become a citizen then? Am I allowed to ask that if I'm not
Yes,
looking?
yes.
Okay.
Even before enter to America, they gave me green card when I was in Ethiopia
Okay. Oh,
because
wow.
yes, I was fortunate for that. But my friends coming from as a refuge, they have to pass all these challenges coming from Libya, Europe, I don't know, Brazil, sometimes this South America is a lot of problems.
What are their
So
challenges like? Because I don't think people know that. And again, I think there's a difference between coming as a refugee who is really, really coming from, life or death situations versus people who are coming over for economic opportunity and then to send it all back, especially, and I am specifically speaking of Mexico only because the Mexican president has defended it. So it's very different. Like I said, in the Congo, I was in church the other day and there was a family sitting in front of me, and the father had just gotten here. The children had been here for a couple of years, I think 3 years, but the father just got here. And I had just seen the massacre in the Congo. So, what kind of challenges do what I would say true refugees face to come here?
Oh, they face a lot of challenges that beyond our imagination. First, like from Eritrean, they have to cross a border, so the regime cannot. They don't give you visa first. You cannot go out of the nation. You have to serve in military for life. So the only choice you have to escape. You have to pass the border. So they have soldiers. They have to shoot you. They have to doing everything. But some people they have to die. They will die. Some people they don't. They pass. Some people they endure the border. After they pass the border, and those people are young. They are 15, 16, 20s, under 20. So they have all these challenges. They have to pass to Sudan or to Ethiopia. Then we have a human smuggler. They call it human trafficking. They ask you to pay, or sometimes even they do. I don't know. They have to take your kidney, all these organs, your body. They sell it. What they do is this Arab people in Sudan, they call it Sinai Desert. They have to pass that line to go to Libya. In Libya, all this, when you pass all this, they call you like, if you are a Christian, they call you sometimes you're American agent, or if you tell them, no, I'm not American, but they call you a Jewish. Yeah, Jewish almost the same with America. So they give you that kind of name. They call it Yehuda. Yehuda means you are from Israel or you are from America, Christianity. So you have to pass all this desert. Someone, your friend or your family has to pay the money because they allow you to call the family or anyone close friend. They pay the money. You have to pass the Sinai Desert, and in the Sinai Desert, no water, no rain, no river, no at all. Food, maybe they have crackers, they have something else, biscuit they call it. But the the challenge is water. They don't have water at all. So they have at least 1 liter of water per day. If they give you that, that's too much. So people kill each other because of water. So sometimes one of my friend told me, even Philemon, he told me they have to hide the water under. They have to hide under the land. They just dig it and put it inside. So some of them, how they survive is because they put the water under it. After sunset, they have to drink a little water. Food, you don't have to eat enough food. Like if you eat 3 bites, 4 bites per day, that's too much. That's enough. So because if you need more food, you have to drink more water. You don't have water. So the only thing you survive, you have to do this. Then when the human smuggler, those people, they have to have a transport, or when the transport come, they have to give you, allow you to go to Libya. You stay in Libya, you don't know what time you go to Europe or to America, but you have to stay in Libya. In 2015, a lot of people beheaded in Libya. One of those was my friend. So they beheaded because they are Christians. They told them, you have two choices. You want to change your religion, or we're gonna behead you, we're gonna slaughter, we're gonna kill you. So the people especially from Horn of Africa, from Eritrea, they don't change religion. They prefer to behead it or to cut themselves. So one of my friend was on the line, but he and his friend, the people who slaughtered them, one of those, they said, okay, let's put these two people, let's stay there, and we're gonna kill those 15 people now. Those two people has to kill tomorrow, so we're gonna cut them tomorrow. So what they did is, first they have to shave without water, your beard, everything. So they give you a lot of torture going on. And the next day, because they torture you to believe in Islam, to convert your religion, first they torture you, they don't kill you at all. They have to suffer you first. So if you still say no, the last thing is they're gonna slaughter you or they're gonna just murder you. That they're doing it with knife. It's not with a shot or the gun, anything like that. With knife. So 15 of them died. They slaughtered them. My friend, one of the guy who slaughtered, he told them like to stay for tomorrow. But the next day something happened. That's why he alive. He live in America now. So he told me he has hair. He's not bald, but he has hair. He always shave his hair. And one day he told me, "Do you know why I shave my hair?" Why? I don't know. Why are you doing this? And he told me to remember my friends. He has a trauma still now. He live
Of
in
course he does.
America. Yes, he live in
Right.
America. He has family.
So
He America.
a lot of people will say that when refugees get here, they get really nice apartments, they get and this did happen under Biden. They got very nice apartments, they got to stay in very nice hotels. They didn't really have to work. But that's not the story of every refugee, right?
No, it's not the same for everyone. So those people who pass all these struggles, they know what the world, like everything they experience. And when they live in America, they have to build life. And you see how brave they are, how the courage, everything you can see from their face. They are hardworking people. They love America. So they are the people who still, they love America. So that's why they are still here. They, they build their
So
family.
so are they taught because it does seem like at least this is the optics that people get here and the Democrats tell them, oh, you're one of us. But it seems to me that the majority of patriots would never be a Democrat because um or maybe they're not political at all, but it just seems to me that listening to people say how awful America is when they've come here to escape something so tragic, they would never fall for that. Or do they fall for that?
No, they don't. But I think you mentioned a good point. Most of them, they don't really participate in politics, but when they learn and they go school, everything, we know them, they love America, so they cannot stand with someone who trying to destroy the nation at all. So they cannot do that because they know what life look like in America. They cannot do this, and they know from experience.
So how do we get them to care about politics? Because I understand not trusting your government and thinking that, you know, people are just selfish and also especially in those cases where if you're on the wrong side, they will kill you. But if we don't stand, our country will turn into it'll have the same values as what they escaped. I know a lot of Chinese people feel this way that they're thinking, "Oh, you're gone again." Okay, that's fine. So a lot of people who come here, oh, there you go, good. Good.
Mm.
A lot of people who come over to our country, they've fled something horrible, but then they don't trust the government, so then they don't get involved. But when they don't get involved, then we create the same thing that they fled. So how do we get people to actually be involved?
Wow, that's a good point. That's a good point. Me, that's why now I'm here talking to you because I was following you on Facebook. That's why I participate now. So
Yes.
those people who cannot participate on some platform, I don't know, like yes, we can give them a chance to speak or to tell Americans why we care America. It's not only we live here, even back home. You were saying someone who live good life here support his family, his dad, his mom, his sister, somebody else, or close friend. So they still, me, I can say like in my local language, we have this media campaign. Um, Now our leader live in London. He's the one creates the media platform for us. But before before this media, I was not really active. I don't really know what America tradition is. I just, if you ask me, do you love America? The short question, do you love America? I would say yes, but I could not explain the tradition. I could not explain the values we stand for because I was not educated. But in my local language, this guy live in London. He gave us even a chance, a platform. What America stand for is it's not only for America, stand for human dignity. That's why we have this platform now. And I would say in my culture, I'm ambassador of America. It's not the government assign me to do this job, but I assign myself because I know the history, I know the American values. And so when I speak in my language to my people, I'm trying to explain my culture too, because we are American alliance in the Horn of Africa. I would say that
So
it
when
can
oh,
be politics sometimes. Yes, it is politics. We cannot afraid that. And sometimes it can be culture. Yes, it can be culture. It can be religion. That's
right.
why the government shut down everything in Eritrea. No radio, no internet, no Facebook, no YouTube in 21st century. This is crazy happening in the world now. Why? Because this is dark. It's a dark time for us in Eritrea because we don't know. We are not exposed to American medias. We are not exposed to American education. American education is very good. It's not only for Americans, even for the world. We know American allies like Israel. We know South Korea. What they do, they align with America. They build the best economy in the region. They are empire in the region. Does America hurt them? No, at all. They love America now because America gives them a chance, a platform, or education, or we can call American value. That's American value, we see it. So the same thing in Africa, especially from my nation in Eritrea. Yeah, we're gonna build these American values in our culture because we have it. We are not imposing from somebody else, oh, this one is the best. No, we have the value system, and the only thing we have to do is we have to learn deeply. We have to create an education system back home. And the same thing, I would say I'm American ambassador. That's why I'm trying to connect my value system with America. Sometimes you have you feel like, oh, I'm trying to not to be American. No, being American is not erasing culture or destroying culture. No, you still recognize your name. It doesn't say America, change your name, do this, do this. No, it just give you a better life or a better culture. You still keep your culture and align with Americans. As a migrant, I'm proud to be American. When I got my citizenship in 2022 was November. So I'm a proud American. So I stand for American values in my work, in my daily life, with my close friends, with anyone. That's why you promote American values if you are really a proud immigrant.
Right. And I just want to, because when I was saying that there are a lot of white friends that I have that don't think they have a culture. To me, the American culture is defined very simply. It is first off redemption. We believe in redemption, which means that we don't get caught up in this permanent guilt because you can change your life. And I think that's one of the reasons why people come here, because this is a place where you can change your life. You aren't just born into a system that there's nothing that you can do about. You can achieve, you can change your life, you can have forgiveness. This is why when I'm trying to think of his name right now, French guy who came here and wrote about democracy. What's his name? Okay, I can't think of it right now. But when he came here, he said, "Oh, what's difference between us, where we're cutting off everybody's heads, right? Because we're in a cultural revolution. America can go through a revolution without that much bloodshed. We still have bloodshed with the Revolutionary War, but it's different because that is war. That is not just coming after someone and saying we must uproot everything. Everything is evil. So that's the first thing that we have is redemption. And then we have resilience. So you can go through something in another country where you sit in a line where 15 people are being beheaded. And even though you've got this crazy amount of trauma and this crazy amount of kind of survivor's guilt because you did not have your head chopped off, you still can be resilient. You still can go through that thing and then come here and build something. Whereas if you're in other countries and third world countries, there is no building anything. You're probably going to die the next day. But here we have resilience, which is true grit. That's our culture. Our culture is redemption, and our culture is resilience, and our culture is grace. Our culture, the definition of our culture is grace. We give people more than they deserve. And I don't mean that by a social handout. I mean, we're able to look at a person as an individual and not as a collective. We're able to look at it as an individual and say, I may have had all of these ideas about you, but I'm willing to sit and learn and listen from your perspective. And I think that that's something that America has. That's our culture. Our culture is we are interested in other people. Our culture is we will sit, we will listen. Now we have to be smart about that because there are some people who hate our country and they should not be here. But there are some people who really deeply love what we have to offer. So, Solomon, thank you so much for joining me in this conversation and for enlightening me and hopefully more people. If you have more people who want to talk to me, I'm happy to talk to them. I think it's really important that we understand that America is an idea and it's one that we should preserve.
Yes, and I like the way you explain now. Really interesting because resilience, that's American value. And always we have to remind ourselves what the founding fathers for America, what they do. They just give us this opportunity. It's not only for America, even for, as I say, outside of America. So we have to remember this always. And if we need a better life, yes, we have a base. We can extend or we can think more because we don't have any limit. They just give us a basis point how we can develop ourselves politically, economically, and just individual right. So I can say anyone who come into America, we have to respect first. If I go to your home, I would not say change this picture, paint this, do this. No. First, you call me. I have to respect your home first. If I need to uh, do any criticism, still I can do it, but it should be polite way. But first, that's your home. I have to respect it. So that's why I see America. We have to respect the founding father first. Then you can ask any question, but don't destroy the founding fathers. Are they proud because they are here in America? The founding fathers, you have to ask them if they are proud of you. You still say, "Oh, I'm doing good." If the founding father because he's doing now to destroy the values, the fundamental values for American value. If you destroy that kind of value, what you are trying to do is to respect for America. That's disgrace for America, for American people, for anyone coming behind you. Because America is the home of immigrants, we can say, and settlers. That's why we enjoy here. And we still have to continue this kind of tradition.
Yes. Thank you so much. I am reminded that the person's name was Alexis de Tocqueville. That is what he writes about America and his appreciation for America as just a visitor is something that we should be reading in every history class, really, because it just gives you that foundation that this is our country and it is worth fighting for. It is a city on a hill to so many people. So, Solomon, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to wrap up this conversation. I really appreciate it, though.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.